Oh, Lordy Jesus, it's a fire. What's going on, everyone? We are live. Dungeon Attack Squad live. Third session.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Absolutely let me actually use correct English. Absolutely breezing through these episodes. Having a good time. I hope all of you are ready to have a good time as well, because we are going to definitely be doing some prime D&D shenanigans tonight. Alright. So, about continue
I
with
do
that
like
Burger.
shenanigans.
Yeah, continue with that Burger King foot lettuce thing, cause
Oh no, it's just that ever since I heard that, and then I heard it, it got stuck in my head, and then I forgot about it, about chills. But then I realized my girlfriend actually watches him sometimes.
yeah,
So like I came in when she was watching him, um, and I made some comment about how annoying he was, and she was like basically telling me just to stop being so dramatic about it.
yeah,
So now just like casually when I'm reading to her or something, I'll just pick whatever I'm reading, like the little roll 20 thing over here, and I'll just start talking like chills, just being like, "You've joined the game. Now available chat commands you can use." And she's like, "Can you fucking stop?" Like I'll be reading to her before bed, and I'll just like
Wait, what?
anytime
Oh,
we
get me
live
going.
together, so when she can't sleep sometimes, I'll read to her. Uh and anytime there's like character dialogue, I'll just read it in like the chills voice,
Yeah,
Ocean man,
and she hates
take
it.
me
She
by the
hates it so
hand,
much.
take me to the land.
I am
But
sorry. I am sorry. The what's it called? The the ping for when someone follows my stream channel. By the way, thanks for following Timmy. Procked off, and it's really
Not a
loud. So
problem.
can you? Oh, wow. So can you repeat that?
um, yeah, no, I was just saying that whenever I'm reading something to my girlfriend and there's character dialogue, I'll read it in the chills voice.
Yeah.
Um, and it just really, really rustles her jimmies. Literally,
Amazing.
just so angry.
Amazing. Well, I'm gonna rustle you guys' jimmies a bit this session, so I hope you don't mind. Right after just one last thing. Still preliminary stuff for the stream. Hold on. This will only take a second. How's you guys' New Year's and also in general holiday, uh, holidays?
That was alright. Nothing too crazy.
Can't complain too much. Honestly, kind of glad to be back at school again because I haven't had a shift in like 5 weeks, so the holidays were immensely boring.
Jesus.
I'm exhausted. I celebrated Christmas with like four different families, and by the end of it, I was just so tired.
Yeah,
And then with school starting up again and working, I've just so tired. But I'm hanging in there.
yeah.
I, I had to leave work for like 30 minutes yesterday to pick some stuff up that we ran out of, and everything fell apart. So it's nice to know that I'm needed, but it's exhausting.
No, yeah, I get you, dude. Let's just get right into the D&D then. All right, so let me fetch my there we go. Let me fetch my ambiance. All right, so you guys are back at Longway Abbey after having done a super secret mission. All right, wherein you had ambushed that bandit camp. Cletus was there to help you. He did his thing. He got his ass beat by the bandit camp leader, but all in all, a otherwise quite difficult engagement was made. A bit lesser, with some good old-fashioned tactics, some good old-fashioned tic-tacs. So well done. I'm pretty sure I gave you all of your loot and whatnot. But now it is time for the. Give me one second. Just gotta get my There we go. Gotta get my notes. It is now time for Watchmaster Cletus to give you the reward that he promised, and Abbot Moriarty is even going to give you a reward of his own as well. But for each of you, first undertaking such a dangerous task, he offers you well, he grants to you 3 gold pieces each.
All right.
Better than two.
Better than
Better than two.
and even some for Doran as well. Right, that's his name, right?
Hmm?
Jesus, I actually let me actually commit his name to memory, please. Yeah, Doran. Yeah, Jesus Christ. All right. The abbot, before you guys head off, because Doran does not want to stick around, he says, if you will allow me, I would like to offer you a portent of the near future, so that it may help you on your travels.
It would be greatly appreciated, Abbott. Thank
Sure,
you.
what's that taste like? Sound like a townsman or?
He says, depending on who you are, it is equally as useful. And he sort of takes a bunch, like a set of a dice, like 3d6s basically, and he sort of blows into them, and they start glowing blue in his hands. And he rolls them across the floor and sort of puts his hands in a prayer motion and looks towards the ceiling with his eyes closed. And he says, "Ah, yes, I see a long dark road, a cabin in the woods, and a fire. The fire represents hope. I see nothing else, unfortunately."
That's all? Just the cabin? Is there anyone? Does it look like abandoned, maybe, or just?
I'm afraid this is all that the portents have told me. I'm sorry. I'm sure
What
they will
about
be.
Hmm.
Yeah, go on.
the porters, the drinks? You said something about porters?
He says,
I believe you're confusing the word portents with porters.
No, I understand the importance of the porters. Did I miss something here?
he says, needless to say, if and you are feeling thirsty, you may drink your fill before you leave. But, the portents have spoken. The portents, mind you. The portents. Not the porters, I'm afraid.
Well, before we go, I could eat. So I guess I'll just have some lunch for the road.
You gotta tell me twice.
Yee.
Yeah, Doran is also he's getting only drunk enough to where he can kind of see the road. Not to where it's
Hmm.
like absolutely impossible to make out.
All right.
Double fist and then fill the flask.
Hmm.
No, did you guys did you want it frosty? I'll give you a little bit of frost. I just give it like breathe on his drink a little bit, make it nice and cold.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah, nice blue wisp of cold air hovers over it, chilling it very slightly.
Always enjoyed a cold one with the boys.
Mm.
That's an old but gold meme. No, Steve. Sorry, someone from in the chat was making a funny. But anyway, all right. So I mean, Doran is ready to shove off. I don't know if any of you gentlemen need any extra time. He's done with his food. He's ready to press on.
Sounds good to me.
Yes, I'm full. I'm rested. I'm ready to go.
Yes, as quaint as this place is, there's a lot more to see, I believe.
All right. You guys only get to about the gate, the northmost gate, before well, Doran sort of looks up to the sky, due eastward. We'll do northeastward, eastward, and you guys he sort of directs your attention towards the sky as well, and he says, "Oh, would you look at that?" And you look up, and there's just like a roiling mass of dark clouds coming towards, like coming this direction.
Ah, shit.
There's a storm coming.
Indeed. Interesting. It's been clear this past couple of days.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it this far inland, but so what's the plan, Doran? Where's the next stop that we go to before we as we move along to the mountains?
He says, "Right. So next stop is, and let me get the proper name for it. There we go. Next stop due north is Gromberg,
Grumberg.
marked by marker number 20 on your map there. It's that town." He
I see.
says, "Interestingly enough, they have a bit of a small community of dwarven smiths. And being that, no offense to anyone here, I think we can all agree that the work of the dwarves is some of the finest in the world, if not the finest. In fact, I would settle on the finest indeed."
Well, dwarves have never disappointed me in their forging.
Yes. He says, "I reckon I could get a pretty good deal on some supplies with fellows such as them. You know, cut from the same cloth and all that."
Yeah, you turn on the charm.
Um, sorry, second.
Turn on the charm.
Yep, exactly. He's gonna give you a thumbs up and a smile through, and you just see in his teeth a bunch of like food scraps and discoloration.
uh, well, you are a cute one.
He says, "I am forced to agree," and he lets out a very nasty wet fart.
Ugh.
All right. So, as you guys are moving, that storm, that set of what you can only assume to be cumulonimbus clouds. Like I'd say guys get about two right here. Like I'll shift press that so you can see.
Mm.
You guys to get about right there. Excuse me. And above head, like overhead, you notice that that a mass of clouds. It seems to have been accelerating as it gets to you guys. I should say, like it's almost as if like it notices that you're there, and it's moving quicker.
Mm. Don't like how it's coming in. Doran, how much longer do you think till we get to shelter?
He says, it's been about 23 minutes. Sorry, let me just do the proper calculations. He says, "Shouldn't be much longer. I mean, even if it does rain, gentlemen, you can stow away inside the cabin. I'll steer. Worry not."
Mm. Well, trust your judgment.
All right. So you get to about right here, and that cloud is right properly over you by now. In fact, it just like about there, like a couple of seconds move forward, like from that exact position, and it just then blots out the sun. But it
Mm.
blots out the sun, and you know how like with regular storm clouds, you can kind of still see a bit of like there's still a bit of light, like it's not like overcast, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That properly completely blots out the sun. In fact, not only does it blot out the sun, but the temperature is dropping to a quite alarming at a quite alarming rate.
Does it seem to be affecting like the like maybe the wildlife around? Or can we hear? Is there a sudden absence of like bird calls or whatever?
Indeed. In fact, how should I say? The forest and area around you are quiet as the grave.
This is the kind of situation that leads farmers to sacrifice cattle to their gods.
Hmm.
Are omens like this common around here?
Uh,
Storms? Yeah, they happen all the time. Look, it's just a storm. It's just got a little cold. This, yeah, we'll be fine.
Oh yeah, but we got no cattle to sacrifice.
Well, looks like you're the closest thing. Sorry, buddy.
No man.
It was nice knowing you, Connor.
You know what? I always knew it was going to end this way.
Sacrifice to appease the storm gods?
Yeah, weird, right? It was like this exact situation.
All right. How should I say? How should I proceed from here? Let me think for a smidget of a second. I wanna do this right. I should say, not to foreshadow anything, even though I'm making it fairly, you
We are all in the foreshadow of this cloud.
know.
That's true.
All right. So, Doran, he sort of looks about, and by now it's been a good 7 minutes into being under the cover of this cloud. And you guys are noticeably starting to slow down as he's starting to lose more and more control over the horses. And he starts, trying to goad them on, like, come on! Ugh.
Thorn, why don't we hunker down in some shelter until this storm passes? Is there like a tree, some trees we could set the horses in the carriage?
He says, it's just a bit of rain. I've been through storms before. I mean, we could probably make it to Kronberg. It's not even raining. And he sort of like puts his hand out in the air, and yeah, it isn't raining. It's just cold. In fact,
Is it
That's
windy?
no, it is actually fairly still. There's the occasional gust, but and each gust brings a even greater chill. But
that's
Is there anybody
that's
else
what
out on the road? Sorry, go ahead.
it concerns me that it's not raining. Rain with no clouds is one omen, but clouds with no rain is darker, more worrying.
Is there can we see anybody on the road or the side of the roads or ahead of us? Is it just us?
no, in fact, it's starting to get like one of those situations where like you know when you're driving and you're driving on one of those roads with absolutely no like no overhead lights.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is starting to get quite dark out. Doran's gonna ask you, or anybody who wants to, anybody who I guess is feeling particularly agile, to there's like a sort of quote unquote a kind of glove box inside the cabin underneath the window. Like there's like the window that lets you talk to the driver
Mm-hmm.
from within. Like there's a glove box on the sort of on the ceiling that have the blinders for the horses, so they don't have to like look around or whatever. So he asks you to get those.
Okay, here you go.
So you slip in, and you notice that that sort of bits of frost are starting to collect on the windows.
It is really cold out there all of a sudden. I'm gonna hold tight to my quarterstaff and I guess hunch my cloak over a little more. Do you need me to put them on? Do you need me to help you put them on? I
And
don't know if you can.
he says yes, if you would if you'd be so kind, I should say.
All right.
Yeah, he's gonna stop. He's gonna stop on the side of the road for a bit, and By now, you guys can see your breaths in the wind.
We're
If
stopping.
I'm
I'm just gonna take like a little. Gonna stand on top of the carriage just to keep a little lookout, because this dark in the middle of the day to have it so dark and cold. It's getting to me. I'm nervous about it.
This is one of the more fascinating weather phenomenons I've experienced.
yeah,
And
it's a little weird.
Marlowe's going to sort of mutter something to himself in Sylvan, and then take a look around and see if he can really glean anything about this storm. He's assuming it's magical in nature.
Roll Arcana. Okay, so since you said it first, Connor, why don't you roll Perception, and then Marlo,
Uh,
you roll Arcana. Okay, that's 14.
All
oh,
right,
did I? Oh, it worked. Did it?
No, it worked the first time. Yeah, you got
Okay.
14.
give myself a guidance and roll a good old fashioned 4.
Beautiful.
uh,
There we go.
Jesus. Okay, unfortunately, the Arcana roll fails. That was a.
uh,
Wait, oh wait, damn. I guess we didn't agree that whether or not we were doing like nat ones on skill checks.
I say yes. Do that once on skill checks, because sometimes no matter how good you are, you're gonna you screw up.
So then, can you crit on a skill check?
Yes. No. Yeah. Of course. Of course.
Okay.
mhm.
For this moment, since we didn't really take into consideration, I will say, I won't take into account, but just for the future reference, because I sometimes forget that that's like a point of contention for some people.
Yeah, I always do it that way, and then I always have players who are like, "Well, technically, you can't crit fail a skill check."
And it's the flair of the flair of the D20 landing on its highest or lowest value, all that good
Hmm.
stuff. But that is a 7. So unfortunately, you cannot really divine any sort of knowledge about this disturbance. But I will say that you are starting to feel a very thorough sense of dread about you. And Connor, you're gonna sort of get up on top of the carriage and see. Oh, and this is actually starting to get a little loud. Let me turn this down a bit. There we go. You see on the very top of the carriage, as you look up and around through the forest, in the sky above, like in that scene of The Prisoner of Azkaban where the sort of Dementors were kind of flying around.
Hmm.
Yeah, just shadowy cloaked figures, wreathed in pure darkness, are
Do they seem to be approaching us, or just hanging around?
they're like vultures. They're kind of spinning overhead like vultures.
Okay. So as I'm looking up and say to the other two, like, have you seen the likes of these before?
What the hell?
Yeah, like flying cloaks, flying black cloaks.
They don't look friendly. Let's get these blinders on and get rolling. The
That's
sooner
not
we're
a
out of
bad
this, the
idea.
better.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on those guys.
Yep. So Doran's gonna fit the last blinder on. He's going to start getting ready to vamoose. In the forests as well nearby, you guys actually start getting glimpses of what looks to be lights sort of flickering in and out of existence of different color. And Doran, fully, well, not fully understanding what's going on, but it's kind of noticing by now that you guys might be in some imminent sense of danger. Sort of, he kicks it into high gear, saying, "I'm sure it's fine, but let's not hang around, lads."
Yeah, let's just keep going. Get a move on, just in the case that it's not.
Yeah. So we
I would
crack.
like I'll be standing. I'll be sitting outside with Doran on this, like out with the horses and whatnot.
All right.
So
He's gonna crack the reins and crack them fairly hard this time, and you guys are gonna start
mm.
heading off at full gallop. as safely as he can without making it so that the carriage tips over. But there are some periods where the road gets a little bumpy.
And is it seem like the cloud is staying overhead, or like we're moving away from it?
You guys are essentially what seem to be a small island in almost pitch blackness.
Alright.
Like the amount of seeable area gets a lot. How should I say? Less as you move away from the carriage. Uh, the he's gonna Doran's gonna ask one of you to take the reins while he strikes one of the like the two lanterns on either side of the carriage door.
Well, I'm already outside, so I'll take the reins.
All right. He just tells you, "Oh, let's keep him steady, follow the curve of the road, and all that." And
Mm-hmm.
takes his little striker and lights him.
Will do. Will do.
Uh, is anybody else out with Connor on like the little coach driver bench or just in that general area?
I mean, it's not that big, right? If there were two people out front already, it would be a little cramped.
Yeah, but there's like you can reliably sit on like the top of the carriage without like too much fear of falling off. At this speed though, like you probably have to hold on to something.
Marlowe's probably going to stay inside the carriage. This is some visceral dread happening outside.
Yeah, until something causes me to. I think I'm safest in here.
All right, so
Big scaly target I am.
I won't like get into like too crazy specifics like who's on the left or right side of the carriage or whatever. So why don't everybody roll a perception check?
21.
We got a 21. 21,
Not as good.
two 11s. Oh wait, that's
Which, if
everyone.
you add them up, it's 22.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, well actually that's an interesting idea. Imagine if like there was a pool of perception where it's like everybody could sort of looking
I
around.
In my games, I do that for stealth, but then I just divide it by the number of characters and take the average.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'm gonna keep that in mind. But anyway, so it's pretty easy to see. So I mean, it wasn't that hard of a DC, I'd say. But Marlowe, you see sort of scrape, like basically like you watch. I suppose in horror, because I don't truly know how your character might react to this, but as a pair of a ebon nails scratch very slowly against the glass of the carriage on your side, or it would be on the right side since the left side glass is actually broken from when Wobbly launched somebody's face through it.
Good times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't we? We're moving at full gallop, right?
Yes.
All right, and it's moving slowly.
Yes. Wait, I'm sorry. Say again.
But like we're moving fast, but the thing like moves slowly across the glass, so it's not like passing a branch or anything. It's very
Keeping
clearly,
pace.
No,
yeah.
that's clearly a set of four very long, sharp nails being dragged against that glass, making quite the jarring, high-pitched noise. And I was gonna say finally, Connor.
Nah. I get scared by the noise.
Actually, no. You know, I'll go to Ryan, since you're also in the cabin. Ryan, you also notice sort of the sounds of hooded and hushed whispers come in waves across the rear of the coach, going towards the midsection, and then finally Doran, he sort of calls out in fear as he looks behind him, and you see Connor, what looks to be a one of the shrouded figures slowly crawling against the side of the carriage, moving towards you very slowly. It looks to be, I mean, How should I say? How should I? Let me think about this for a second. I wouldn't say like how in tune would you guys be with lore on just like I should say undead? Because it's obvious that it's undead. I would say that, but like
Wobbly would know nothing
okay,
other than
Everything.
like story.
Marlowe's much more about like the Fae and stuff like that, not so much undead.
okay.
Yeah. Now Connor would have maybe have passable knowledge, but like nothing too specific.
I appreciate your honesty because there's always that one guy I feel who's just like, oh yeah, undead, dragons, aberrations, mind flares. I got it all right here.
You all know that one guy.
But no.
And if I see this thing coming towards me, I go like, "Piss off, ghost!" I'm gonna try punching it in the face.
Like actually, are you gonna like hit it with a weapon?
I would say I would probably panic and not really think to go for my weapon. I would just go for the most direct attack. Just
All right. So roll. I guess roll a d20 plus your strength,
alrighty.
cause you wouldn't. You're not
I'm
proficient
not
in
trained or
arms.
anything
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
My strength is 3, so that's an unnatural 20.
No. Nice hit. So you dead center right in the face. It sort of lets out a very ghastly wail, and you acquiesce by smacking it right in the hooded face hole. And it sort of buggers off like as if you just threw like a plastic bag from like your car window or whatever. Basically.
I,
And
uh,
yeah, go on.
I'm gonna say, step on the door in.
And
I
he
guess although we're already at full gallop, so we can't really go any faster.
yeah, no, he's saying like I'm giving her all she's got. Yeah, no. He's going as fast as he can with it.
Mm. Like, well, never had a fight on the carriage before, and that's when I'll go. That's when I'll go to grab my weapon.
All right. So I mean, you guys in the carriage are pretty like this is pretty audible to you guys. So Marlo, I mean, if you were to cuz you can actually like open the carriage windows and like look out them. If you were to like at any point sort of look out or look around. Same thing with you, Connor. If you were to look up at the sky or just around the general area, you would see that a lot of these cloaked figures are actually like like I said, like just sort of shifting around, moving through the air like vultures, and in some cases even swooping down and haranguing the carriage. Like one of the
Okay, so there's quite a few that are like descending upon us.
yes, it looks like right
Mm.
now though that like one or two of them like actively push themselves like into the carriage before like going incorporeal and sort of shifting through it. But Doran quickly notices like what they're doing. And he says they're trying to overturn us.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, if he looked out and there was like multiple chasing and like getting ready to slam into the carriage and stuff, then Marlowe would definitely try and get himself into a place where he can start giving him the old blast.
All right.
Wobbly's gonna hop up onto the carriage roof through the window.
All right. So I'd say on your side, from the side that still has the unmolested window, I should say Marlowe. Like you said, you're just kind of like shooing them off with like a Eldritch Blast, or like trying to like keep them away.
Pretty much, yeah. Just making it like unpleasant to approach in a straight line, you know?
No, I get you. So you're firing off Eldritch Blast like all Red Dead Redemption style.
Oh yeah.
And like any that try to get too close to you guys, Ryan and I'm sorry. Let me actually use the names that you have decided for yourselves.
Wobbly.
Yeah, Wobbly and Connor. You guys are just shooing them off with your weapons. Occasionally they'll try to latch on, but a a combined blow from the side of a quarterstaff and a warhammer is enough to discourage them from trying to get their footing to actually do any real harm.
I'm gonna start trying to communicate, just in particularly Draconic, because I don't think they know Draconic, but I just go like, I got no other option here. Just kind of tell them like, leave us be, foul spirits, that kind of stuff
I
in
shout,
Draconic.
I shout, piss off in halfling.
See if they understand anything really.
Nope, they are still, how should I say, they are unrelenting.
Mm.
Doran, on occasion, like he'll take like he'll take like a rock that he sometimes keeps in his pocket, and he'll like sort of throw like one or two at any that get too close. But then
So,
you, I'm sorry, say again.
so I was gonna say, so they are somewhat solid though.
Yes, they can be interacted with like weapons, but you definitely notice that you're not doing as much damage to them as you possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's literally feels like you're boxing, quote unquote, with shadows. But Doran is going to very suddenly yell at you guys on the top of the carriage to hang on to something.
I do that.
Mm-hmm. And I'll hang on to Wobbly.
Mm. And you guys take a, I mean, realistically for a carriage, a sharp turn down what seems to be the side of a cliff face. Going like it's there's a part in on this trail where it veers off into a trail on your right side, and that trail kind of goes down maybe into like a little valley, a very small decline, then a
Mm-hmm.
another small incline as you continue on a different direction. you,
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a great time hitting ghosts.
Doran's gonna sit. I'm sorry. Was anyone else?
It's certainly more exciting than any carriage ride I've been on prior.
And Doran's gonna say, "This is the most terrified I've been in my life. You're all delusional."
Yes, I am.
And he says, "And it's bloody frigid." And by now it's so cold that you guys are noticeably shivering. Or like if you were to accidentally like similar to like how a belt buckle, no, not a belt buckle, a seat belt, the metal part of the seat belt would be in the summer. If you accidentally touch it, you're gonna receive like a very scalding style of freezing cold if any of you were to accidentally press your hands or any bare skin against the side of Connor's armor.
Yeah.
I mean, Connor, you're probably not too perturbed by it, but you know.
No, I mean I'm a white dragonborn anyway, or silver, so I'm kind of resistant to cold.
Yeah. But Doran tells you all, remember the portent that the abbot gave us? A cabin in the
Yeah, it
woods.
was supposed to be nice. What a dick. He lied.
And he says, this trail, I'm thinking it might lead to. And finally, he yells over to you guys, there, and you see at the end of the trail the silhouette of what looks to be a sort of windmill and a cabin or some sort of structure.
Well, he did mention a cabin. Make way, or whatever people say.
He says, make way was good enough.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not good with the carriage lingo. You say?
He says, no, I understood what you're saying. It was fine, thank you.
It's
And
great how when we're fighting for our lives, we can still just have such meaningful conversations. I appreciate it.
he says, well, life is short. You have to appreciate the time you have with your friend. All right, everyone off. And he's gonna basically stop the carriage as fast as he can, just like absolutely grind his heels against the boards of his seat and yank as hard as he can back on the reins. And he says he's gonna touch off a candle, and kick open the door. Because at first it won't really budge to any real presses or anything, but a good swift kick in its foundations will open it enough to allow even someone as large as you, Connor, to enter in.
This is the door to the cabin?
Yes.
Okay, good.
He is wasting absolutely no time. He's like, in, or else I'm closing it.
Uh, I'm kind of confused, concerned about the horses, but then again, they're Dorn's horses, so I'm guessing like, okay, your loss.
He
Yeah, did
says,
he like tie them to something?
he tells you, we can always get new horses, lad. I can't get a
And
new myself.
That is true.
as Marlo ducks into the cabin, is there like a fire lit?
No, but I was actually going to say, Doran's going to tell you, Connor, to actually fetch him. There's a there's some firewood that's like tied off on the back of the carriage. He's gonna ask you to like cut that free and then get it, just in case.
All right. I mean, I don't have any bladed weapons, so I guess I just bite through the rope to carry it.
Easy peasy.
Like, okay, coming, coming, coming. I guess again, and I'll bring the firewood into the place. I think I'm going to take out one of my torches as well and just kind of lit it to give us a bit more light.
Alright, fair enough. And as soon as everyone's in, he's going to force that damn thing closed. And
Is there anything we can use to lock the door?
there is. I mean, I'll just take you guys straight to the map I got for it right here. Let me adjust the. Yeah, you guys should all see. Torch is 60 feet and 30 dim, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright. Now there is, I mean, Doran's gonna kind of move to the side a bit, but there is a bit of rubble on that. That rubble right there is accurate to like what, you know, there is there. So you can kind of shore it up with some boards if you want.
I
Yeah.
cannot see anything.
Oh, I am sorry. Is there anyone else who cannot see anything?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
black rectangle.
I am sorry. Hold on. I has. Oh yeah, that's the setting I'm looking for. Has sight. My bad. I could have sworn I had that checked off. Marlo, you should be able to see everything, right?
No, I just see the black
Re-
box and my token.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can see it now.
Oh, I know why. Sorry about that. Hold on. There we go. Now you should be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just like board up the door just to keep anything out.
Doran's gonna take his little candle and make sure that there's no windows, and there doesn't seem to be, though there are where the foundations and sides of the cabin have been slightly destroyed. You can see small gaps through them. He's going to hobble his little ass over here and say, "Boys, I found a furnace," and he's gonna shove shove the wood in there, like use a little fire starter to sort of like his tinderbox get that stuff going.
Yeah, I'll bring over some wood as well.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy. Is there anything like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't really know. But just knowing that we were like because it was the abbot that told us about this about a certain cabin, right?
Yes.
The scene like it's. I'm guessing it's very, very abandoned. Is there anything of note?
Would you like to roll an investigation check?
Yeah.
Let's see how you do.
For some reason, there's no investigation on my sheet, so I'll just roll
yeah.
a 20.
Sometimes that happens. I don't know why that happens, but it's
Yeah.
a d20 plus your intelligence.
All right. And my intelligence modifier is 0, so it's a house.
It is definitely a house. Nothing really of note, unfortunately. You don't see anything.
There was a long dark road and then a cabin in the woods, and now we're lighting a fire. So so far the portent's been remarkably accurate, though unfortunately vague.
Hmm. Are the spirits still following us? Do we hear any other claw scratches?
Yes, you hear some scratches along the walls and some general wailing about
Hmm.
in the night air outside. Well, the night air. It was literally just daytime a couple hours ago, like the crack of dawn.
Hmm.
But Doran's going to say, as soon as I saw the road, I had a feeling that the portent might have been semi-accurate.
Hmm.
What did he take, anyways? Like, give him that vision.
You know, Percocets.
Uh,
No. Anyway,
Red Bull.
exactly. It gives you clairvoyance.
Hmm.
Nope. It looks like he just did like a very general ritual to offer some kind of insight into the future.
Okay.
But Doran, he says, "Now, gentlemen, I'll admit," and as soon as he says "I'll admit," you're gonna hear the sounds of the horses getting, well, they definitely aren't getting pet or fed.
Oh no.
Judging by the wails outside, there it sounds like they're getting, they're getting shown what for.
Well, it's not specifically us they're after.
He says, "Well,
It's true.
perhaps they just wanted some horse meat."
Or maybe they specifically don't want us to leave quickly.
He says,
That's true. We're gonna have to carry all of our stuff now.
It's pessimistic but plausible.
he goes over to you, Marlowe, and says, "Listen, lad, you look quite in tune with how the ways and the mystic arts work in this world. Please tell me you know what's going on, and please tell me it's only temporary."
Hmm. Well, have you gone back on any fairy deals recently?
And he says, "Not that I can think of."
Then I've never seen anything of this like before.
Does anybody want to roll any sort of history check to maybe see if they've even heard about anything like this at all?
I think
Eh,
I can. Could I roll Arcana?
You
Or
can
actually, no.
roll.
I'm better at history than Arcana.
Yeah, so you can roll Arcana or History.
Okay.
Though, like, depending on who you are, I would say like it would definitely. Now I'll just say what you get.
Mm.
I would say Wobbly is definitely somewhat difficult for you to determine what's going on here specifically, but you do that sense of dread and this feeling of dark foreboding is somewhat in line with the way that people have said they feel when they are around undead. So it's definitely undead in nature. But that's like knowledge that anybody would pretty much hear. Like if you've met any like veteran zombie hunter in like any tavern, and you'll find ones around if you've been around the world. If you've been outside your own front doorsteps at least. You might have been in a tavern before and you've seen some gentleman who makes it his living to kill zombies or other lesser undead. But Connor, I'll say that let me word this in a way that's proper. I should know this, and forgive me for asking this question, but how long exactly did you stay with your with your mercenary group?
Hmm. I'm gonna say about the first 15 years of my life.
All right, they've definitely done dealings with other bands before, and that is a above average roll. So I'd say maybe this would sort of get the old noggin jogging, your old memories.
Yeah, now that we have a minute to breathe.
Yeah, exactly. A chilly minute, but you're not too perturbed by it, like I said.
Yeah.
The what sometimes will happen in the world. Well, like the world is very dynamic in the way that it responds to the very peculiar nature of magic. And sometimes what will happen is that different kinds of magic will localize themselves in very small areas, almost creating a slight arcane disturbance, I should say. At least this is how a camp wizard had described it.
Mm.
And what you'll get is you'll get things like this, which are arcane storms. Or he would probably have given it some sort of a colloquial term, like some sort of like backwater term, because he was only a hedge wizard. He didn't really have any formal training.
Right.
But what will sometimes happen is that if certain kinds of magic localize and concentrate in certain areas, you'll get strange effects. So this might be one of those situations.
I'll relay this to them. I said like I can't remember what it's called. Something like a magic surge or effect that'll affect the area. Sometimes bring creatures with it.
A a maelstrom of, in this case, perhaps necrotic energy.
Maelstrom's a good word for it, actually. Maybe not maelstrom. Is not a very good. We'll work on the name. Work on the name.
Doran says almost some sort of storm of magic.
Mm-hmm.
And as you'll say that, you will. I mean, the sides and door of the cabin are gonna start getting shook very heavily by what sounds to be wind, like very very heavy winds. It's gonna
Mm.
make the thatch roof shudder, and the door almost fly off its hinges. You can hear it just like jostle very very heavily.
Oh, they didn't like that.
Doran's gonna hop, skip, and jump and fucking plow his heavy ass against the side of it, and he's
Mm.
gonna look at you all and say, "Well, don't help me all at once, gentlemen."
Well, fair enough.
Marlowe's
I'm
gonna.
not sure what to do. You're doing such a good job yourself. But I will come over, just like put kind of like lean on the door, put a hand up,
Yeah,
get
Marlowe's
help
gonna
press
just
against
sort
it.
of
Yeah, you go ahead, Marlo. Go ahead.
stroke his chin a little bit. Now that he's sort of getting how this works, it's basically like this world's equivalent of like ley lines or places where magical energy gathers. You'd like to have a think about so the nature of magic and if this is a sort of thing that dissipates with time or is attracted to like certain particular things or is just basically like a storm, just a force of nature.
I wouldn't want to. That's a really cool thing to do, and I wouldn't want to leave it up to just a roll. So what's your passive Arcana? Like that would be 10 plus your int, I think. Or I'd say Arcana, or maybe even your I'd say maybe even your Perception. Or you know what? Just roll a straight either roll Arcana or just a straight Whiz check.
All right. Uh, and you would give himself guidance as well if he has time.
How long does that even take to do?
It's just like a second basically. It's a one action.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you have time for
All
6 seconds.
right.
No, no, yeah, no, don't worry about it.
All right. Well,
Well,
Ooh,
that's a fat natty 23.
there you go.
ooh, 26.
That is a fat natty 20 right there. First natty of the session.
Oh yeah, of the whole campaign, I think.
Yeah. So Marley, you're just gonna have yourself a sit down and converse with the forces of nature around you for any sort of even divine insight. Any insight into the situation at all would be apt and appropriate. And collecting your thoughts, you gather that this, well, I mean, all magic in some way, shape, or form is temporary, usually. But localized disturbances such as this usually only last for a very short while. This one specifically, though the name may actually no, it's a natty. Fuck it, I'll just give you the name. It is called a necronimbus. It's a disturbance of whenever there is a situation of like mass death in any particular area, mass killings, or you know, maybe even a tragic suicide or a tragic mass suicide. Anything that invokes not wrath, but despair, mass sort of fear and destitution. These concentrated essences of pure death and darkness coalesce in the air and travel as like one cohesive unit, bringing with its symptoms such as these on the land.
Yeah,
Best,
so he would,
yeah, go on.
yeah, I mean, he would sit down for a second, take off, his single piece of, reflective jewelry, and he's muttering to himself in Sylvan for a little while. Then he'll sort of look up and go, I was a little perturbed before, but this isn't entirely unlike things we have where I come from. Emotions hold great power, particularly in my home, and apparently here as well, though I suppose I misjudged that seeing this. Don't worry, and he'll sort of just pick up another piece of wood and go over casually and toss it into the furnace and go, It is temporary, so as long as the rickety walls hold, it'll pass.
As long as you hold, they say. So all we can do is wait.
Yes, and try not to
Hopefully.
experience any great grief or despair. You'll only feed into it.
Mm.
And in fact, it must have been caused by an event of great magnitude, mass murder, prominent suicide.
So will this continue until whoever's feeling grief no longer feels grief?
Oh, unlikely. It's set off by those emotions, and it sort of travels gathering energy. But like with any storm, once that energy's spent, it should dissipate. Just have to try not to feed into it too much, and rather, I'm more interested in what caused it in the first place now.
One thing I will say is that just as a evil wizard or some sort of other malignant force can wrest control of an elemental, so too might an evil wizard take control of a necronimbus to use for his own nefarious deeds. Like vampires, well, maybe that's going a little bit too in depth, but just I'll leave it with that information.
Yeah, so
Can't
he'll
rule
say
anything
all that
out.
to sort of like reassure them and be like, it's just basically it'll pass, and I'm more interested in what caused it. And then he'll sort of sit down and go, of course, if someone was bending it to their whim, it could be turned into quite a dangerous weapon, but that's probably not the case. And even if it is, nothing we can do about it now.
Doran says to you, you know, I know I said to figure out why this is happening, but I wasn't expecting to feel even worse after I've known.
Well, Doran, that's the terrible knowledge of burden. Burden of knowledge, rather. The more you know, the more despaired you are. It's just a matter of coping with it or dealing with it when you can. But in this particular case, I don't see any way of dealing with it. So I'm going to have a sit down and try not to feed into the negative energy.
We can at least feel good that it's only temporary. Hopefully.
Doran's gonna sort of get off the door for a second after he notices that it seems to be shored up fine, and he's gonna walk over to the furnace to warm his hands a bit.
Right. Well, I'll still stay next to the door.
He's gonna say, well, gentlemen, you can't say I don't know how to pick a place. And he's going to put his hands up next to the edge of the furnace. Let me see. Everyone roll a perception check.
Any port in a storm.
Any port in a storm.
Any portent of a
16.
storm.
Any port in a storm.
Oh, 17, not bad.
Damn, I wasn't even intending
Actually,
for that to be a play on words. But that is a
21.
that is a funny one. Marlo, you notice. Well, I mean, I'll reveal them now, but you notice that they're coming up before you even. You weren't surprised. How about
All right.
that? Yeah.
oh joy.
But crawling up from what looks to be the rubble next to you, and even parts of the floorboards, cracking them open and forming themselves whole. You see these wretched creatures. Doran's going to yell out in absolute fear as he sees one emerge from the rubble in the corner of the room near the furnace. And he's going to cry out, "Oh Lord! Oh my dear!" And he's going to see more and says, "This is the worst cabin I've ever been in." Alright, roll initiative, gentlemen.
Oh, I need to select my token.
Yes. Indeed.
Oof.
Ooh, nice.
Oh noes. Oh noes.
Alright.
So I guess ties will be brought up will be decided who has the most decks. Yeah.
Damn, there is actually a setting that makes that so that doesn't happen, but I forgot about it. But yeah, it would be, in this case, it would be who has the highest dex. So that would be Marlo. Would that be you?
I only have +2.
Well, I have a -1.
So then yes, that would be me.
Yikes. So just let me fetch my. There we go. All right. The skeleton that Doran had scurried his ass away from is going to hobble over towards you, Wobbly, and try and he's gonna try to flay flay the flesh from your bones.
Sounds good.
Yeah, he got a bone to pick with you.
Let's see. No
Oh, he's
dice.
firing a short bow?
That is a short bow. I am so sorry. It's the same to hit and literally the same damage as his melee weapon.
Okay.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna make him re-roll for that. But Marlo, it is your turn now.
All right, so as they start, coming up, he sees like a skeletal hand pop up through the floorboard. He'll take a moment to think himself.
Sorry.
It's all good. He just takes a
Oh my
moment to
gosh.
think to himself. Could a Necronimbus animate the dead who died a violent death in a place? And start, sort of formulating that theory, and then realize his life is in imminent danger, and stop riding the high of having figured something out. And he is going to go ahead and
Pew pew.
yeah. So let's see here. He's gonna start with let's see here. Shield of Faith, I believe. Yeah, Shield of Faith is a bonus action. So he's gonna cast his once a day Shield of Faith on himself here. Give himself the additional click AC. And then as his main action, he's gonna take the dodge action until he can get his bearing more in this fight.
You got it, me bucko. Connor, it is your turn.
I will say, go back to the creep back to the crypt from whence you came, and I'm gonna hit it with my hammer.
Oh god.
Not bad.
This one right here, right? Dicty Blade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one right in front.
I'd say in the midst of battle, you don't quite notice it before the hammer before the hammer actually connects, but for a split second you look at this particular skeleton, you notice that it is the skeleton of a child that might be no older than 7 years old.
Oh no.
But
Well,
but you do a rousing 16 points of damage to it,
ooh.
and it is smashed utterly to pieces.
Realizing that the child was like, oh, now I feel a bit bad. Rest well, child. And I'm come around to this one.
Unfortunately, it was the Skelechild's turn next, but
Oh.
he's a bit incapacitated.
With being broken.
Yeah. Wake me up inside. The Necronimbus just turns everybody into like freaking turns everybody into emo fans and all that. I'm just blasting on my MP3 21 Guns by
Oh,
My
heck yeah.
Chemical Romance. Yeah.
You know, I like 21 Guns. It's a good song.
That's the song that's playing in the backdrop. That and what is that song even called? The one that starts with "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor." That was for you, by the way, Marlo.
It's Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, I believe.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
what it's
think
called.
it's just what it's called.
Okay. That was for you, by the way, Marlo.
Right. I'm dodging, so it would be at disadvantage.
I apologize.
It's all good. I will gladly accept the damage if he hits me again. Never mind.
Crit fail.
Wow.
What a perfect dodge, dude. Like it would have literally been more than half your health. That's fantastic. Tic
Yeah, we're
Tacs.
doing what's called a pro gamer move.
He's fucking Scotty's head right now is like the size of Yakub's.
It's big brain time.
Exactly. There's the main head, and then there's the head that I reserve for my fat brain. But I don't. Normally, I would have it be like whoever is getting attacked. If you have a nat one against you, you can like use your reaction to just like hit him back. But Connor, if you want to spend your reaction, you may attack that fellow right over to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, go. Feel free.
It's hammer time.
No dice. It is going
Not the
to.
best.
No, it is going to. It's not gonna necessarily parry it away, but it just like sort of scrapes against its upper shoulder bone. Not too much damage. Wobbly, it is your turn.
All right, I'm gonna pop. So 21
It's not bad.
for the quarterstaff for 8 bludgeoning damage and a 10 to hit for the punch.
The quarterstaff, he basically like hit him like well, how do you? How about this? How do you kill him?
Just a clean swipe of the head off, kind of like teeing a golf ball.
Nice. It flies against the room and slams against the wall, shattering it to pieces. The rest of the body just follows suit, slumping dead on the ground.
And then I'll take 5 feet this way. Actually,
Got him surrounded.
before I do that, I'm going to take 5 feet here. Can I see anything else? It's completely dark in this.
I'm sorry. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Okay, there's nothing else in that room. Then I'm just going to stand
Yeah,
here.
no, there's nothing there.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No worries. I just wasn't sure if there was, if the fire, if maybe the fire doesn't reach over there or something. If I can't see.
No. You would be able to. I just have to. I thought I had applied a lighting effect to that, but it doesn't matter. There's nothing over there.
Gotcha.
Marlo, it is your turn, my dear man.
All right, Marlo's just going to try and get inside this thing's reach a little bit, and then give the help action to Connor, since he seems to be a skeleton smashing champ.
Thank you. I try.
Connor, it is. By God, it is your turn.
All right. So with the help action, my attack is now at advantage.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Lovely. I'm gonna hit it with my hammer. Okay.
Definitely
Let's see
gonna
about this.
turn him into bone meal. Not he's not dead, but you're definitely gonna smash a couple ribs open.
Mm.
Bone
And I
meal's-
love the sound of the crunch as my steel hits bone.
Exactly. That skeleton is going to sort of very sharply sort of swing its short sword at Wobbly. Very unnatural movements as, despite missing most of its lower, like upper torso,
Wait,
it,
wasn't that a crit? Oh no, it's just a 20 to hit. Okay,
you know,
sorry.
as it violently flails, trying desperately to slash at you. It's 13.
That does not hit.
The worst luck for our boy is down below, unfortunately. Wobbly is your turn. They had just returned from the skeleton war, and you guys are fucking in their house, fucking with their house.
Fucking
Oh
their
no, we
house.
fucking in the house.
Pop. Pop.
Oof.
Ah, that's a crit.
It's
Ooh.
the second crit of the night,
I'm
absolutely.
gonna do the Indiana Jones Kalima, rip the heart out, but realize there's no heart there, so I kind of just shatter his sternum.
Nope, he is properly shattered.
Just come out with a handful of vertebrae, and then it
Yes.
just kind of falls backwards.
Yeah. He's
That
like,
looks cooler when they have body parts.
he's like, hey man, give it back.
Quality reference.
Doran's like, oh, I've seen this on the Late Show.
Oh my.
Man.
Now that they're all dead, is there like any noticeable change in the atmosphere? Is it suddenly a little bit warmer? Has the storm seen past? Or?
Nope, but unfortunately, I'm just gonna delete these. No, but unfortunately, the door swings open, flying right off of its hinges, and two more emerge
Oh, great!
from the night. Just as angry as the last, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Though this one you notice is wearing a considerable bit more armor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you had something to say,
No,
Wobbly?
no. Just okay. Here we go.
Would be in the bottom of this. That would be in the bottom of the new round. Give me 1 second. Let me just properly adjust. There we go. Marlo, once more it is your turn. I'm just gonna have him scurry back over here like the quite startled soul he is.
Mm.
Since it's
All
a new
right.
round.
Marlowe is gonna go ahead and hurl a little zippy eldritch blast of silver light at the one that is not clad in a worrisome amount of armor.
Go on.
Right,
Nice.
17.
Fantastic. Rendering a good part of his upper body into dust. These ones are have a lot more bits of dirt and grass connected to their skin, so or rather connected to their bones. So you can only reason that they sprang up from the ground.
All right. So a surprising amount of people died at this cabin in the woods. Who would have thought? And Marlowe is going to take a step back here to because he knows where his strengths are at, and it is not in front of Wobbly and Connor.
And Skeleton G hits just like, yeah, where are you going? I saw that.
They're
Well,
holding me back.
Connor, it's your turn.
I'm going to give them a nice shiny target, so I'm going to go in between the two of them, and with my hammer hit the one with more armor.
Before you move up there, I do have a question, DM. Can we see outside the door? Are there more that look like they're getting ready to?
Right now, it just looks like It just looks like darkness outside, like you can't really see anymore.
Okay.
Right. So with my hammer. Okay. Okay.
Is that
Oh crap! I made it with advantage. Sorry about that. Do you
no?
want me
That
to
is
roll again?
fine. No, that's fine because is if it wasn't an advantage, it would have just taken the one on the left. It was just 17, so you actually just rolled a 17.
Okay then.
But you're hitting this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Noticing you acquiesce for its increased amount of defenses and put all of your weight into that one hammer swing, collapsing its chest plate because it was wearing one, and pulverizing the semi-soft bone behind.
I'll look to the other one and say, "Do the fit, do the dead, no fear."
He's like, yes, and
Oh my
runs.
god, it
No.
talks! Wait, you talk?
His bottom jawbone just drops off.
he sticks it. He prepares an IV full of milk and stabs it himself. Health regen of 80 per turn. Which doesn't necessarily even matter. But anyway, go on. Oh wait, no, it's that skeleton's turn. So let's see. Jesus, oh my God, RN Jesus is having a field day with my rolls right now,
Nope, just off my armor.
basically. And Wobbly, it is now your time to
Okay.
shine.
Pop, pop. 18 and 18 for 9 and 5.
Nice.
Dude, monks are freaking great. My one of my friends who really loves monks, he does. By the way, that you just freaking Kamehameha wave him right into the wall. He is quite shattered. My friend, he doesn't like what the 5th edition's done to monks, but I don't really see the problem.
I want to play a monk. I got an idea in mind, but I haven't been able to play him yet.
Yeah, the only one that's not objectively really good is the Way of the Four Elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Maybe,
turns can get really complicated though once you get like after 5th level and you get multiple attacks and key points to do whatever you want. I mean, it's really, really fun. There's lots of different things you can do, but there's so much you can do. It can make your turns take really long.
Nah.
the Doran's going to grab like the right end of that door to try to see if he can muscle it back up against the into its frame. And he's
I will assist him.
yes, he's gonna of course ask for assistance. He's gonna press it
Yeah.
back into its frame and he's going to curse in Dwarvish and says he's going to say, if only I brought my tools.
I will say in Dwarvish language.
He's gonna.
I'm pretty sure in my explorer's pack I got a crowbar, so I like to use that to kind of wedge it under the door, keep it in place.
He's gonna tell you. He's gonna commend you on a brilliant idea and sort of help with that as well. But Doran's going to say, oh, sorry. He's gonna say, gentlemen, that was absolutely flawless, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm glad nobody got hurt. And then I look at the shattered bones like, well, almost no one got hurt.
Somebody got hurt, but they were already hurt, and they're nobody we knew.
Yeah, that's true.
He says, quite indeed. I knew I had picked the best band of men for a job such as this, though
Oh,
I wish we were quite closer to our goal.
yeah. Nah, can't help but feel that I wasted time. At, not I didn't mean I didn't make anyone do it, but I was the one to advocate to help out about Clayton and his little brother.
And he says,
But
yeah, go on.
it's need to bring. There's too much misery in this world. Sometimes you need to do some things to bring a little bit more light to it.
And he says, well, who knows? Perhaps our deed, done out of the kindness of your heart, has saved us from the worst of this necro whatchamacallit.
Necronimbus.
He says,
Necronimbus.
"Yes, that."
That sounds much better than Magic Surge. What was I talking about?
uh, all in all, like this, it doesn't have to be just from like necrotic forces. It can also be like even from demonic ones as well. Just generally like a storm of magic, sort of rippling and shattering the binding between realities, causing things like skeletons to crawl back from the earth and
Well, we're gonna
turn
have to think
on the
about a
living.
lot. We'll have to think about lots of names for them. So many kinds. Let's see, Necronimbus. Uh, well, like fiendish frenzy, maybe. Ooh, that's a fiendish frenzy.
He says, don't quit your day job."
Don't plan on it.
All right, so he's going to wobble his way over to the furnace, and well, I mean, more howling and other bits of startling noise happen at the door, and anytime that happens, he just sort of runs over and shores it up. But otherwise, after about an hour or even less, like I'd say 30 minutes, which I don't know if any of you receive any like resources or whatever, if you've used any that you can like regain in a short rest, but you essentially do take one.
Yeah.
It seems that the coast is clear. The After a slight bit of pause, the birds return, and so does a large amount of the other fauna that make noise when the sun's out.
So you say it's starting to clear.
Yes, it looks like it.
Hmm. Well, I want to make sure that it's all gone. I'm going to use my divine sense. See if I can sense any evil within. Oh, it's only 60 feet, but
That's pretty
yeah,
good. I mean, it's only
yeah.
like, yeah. Go. You can
I'll
go ahead.
give it a try just to see what happens. Yeah, use my divine sense.
No, but oh, sorry, no. Let me actually say what I'm saying no to. There does not appear to be any malignant forces around. No, it seems that the whatever was haranguing you, the Necronimbus, and whatever had sprung from the ground doesn't seem to have any more friends, and even if they did, it doesn't seem that they wish to emerge just as the ones that assailed you had, so it seems that
Hmm.
everything's fine. Everything's good in the neighborhood.
Well, I think it's time we get a move on. I'm gonna go check. Oh, who knows? Maybe the horses were overreacting. Look out the door.
Uh, that's a pair of dead horses, unfortunately.
Nope. Oh. Oh well. Well, I'll just start getting some supplies from like the back of the carriage, just kind of tie it together so that each of us can have a pack to bring along.
And Marlo's gonna be the last person out of the house and just give it a little like, just give it a pat like, good job, random cabin in the woods.
Doran's going to look about and he's going to spend a little bit more time inside. Sort of scope down the area, see if there's anything that's worth taking.
Mm.
He's, he's,
Scavenger.
he's going to ask if anybody wants to help him.
Uh, no. If you find anything, you keep it. Unless you actually like need help digging. I don't know.
Marlo will have a little bit of a look around. He was gonna start outside by seeing where the skeletons crawled out of, but he's just not really like really looking for anything in particular, just a little bit curious as to why there were so many dead people buried underneath this cabin.
All right. So Doran's going to roll an investigation. He's going to do one basically of his own accord. So he is not a particularly stupid man. So I'd say that's going to be a 14. You want to roll your investigation, Marlo? Unless for some reason the sheet
Sure.
doesn't have it.
No, I think mine has it.
It's weird. It happens sometimes. Investigation is a well-known thing, so you know.
Hmm.
I will say it is very plainly obvious where the two that were outside it came from, because there are a pair of graves outside of the cabin that are essentially unearthed. Not unearthed like like by like a shovel or
Yeah.
anything, but like they sprung from them. You can see down in the ditches that have been turned up that there are a set of caskets that have been forced open or broken open. Looks like from within, and it says on one there's a pair of like very ramshackle headstones. One says mom and pop. Well, one says mom, the other says pop, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, Marlowe will try and gather up the bones and toss them back into the grave. While Connor takes some time to make us all some packs.
Doran found something very interesting. In fact, he's going to say, "Gentlemen, look what I found in here."
Sounds promising. Well, yeah, I'll hurry back into the cabin.
I'll follow.
He's sort of you see him sort of breaking up a bit of the floorboards, and he says, sorry, hold on, I'm just checking the time. He says, but Connor, your crowbar, please.
Oh, yep, get handed to him.
He's gonna use it to force open a couple more. This time a little easier, thanks to the crowbar. And you guys see, like where he's standing right now, let's say, there seems to be some sort of a trap door there. Quite well hidden. Well, reasonably well hidden. He says that he found it thanks to he was just snooping around the area. He found some like some spare copper pieces like lodged in the fleshy bits of the skeletons, and he noticed that some of the boards were a bit looser or a bit more hollow.
Was that is that what was in there? Just the few coppers? It seemed to be like deeper.
Oh no, I mean he's gonna use your crowbar to force open the trap door.
Okay, now I got it.
Yeah, he's gonna. There's a small ladder that leads down a very short ways. Someone diminutive like him has a bit of an easier time sort of navigating what looks to be some sort of a cubby beneath the cabin. But
Wobbly, I'm just gonna look at Wobbly like Wobbly want to join him just in case. I'd rather not lose our employer.
Sure.
Give me 1 second. You guys find what looks to be some sort of a stash of supplies. There's even a small coin purse. Looks to be like on a barrel. Like Doran's like he sort of lights another candle and sort of uses it to inspect the place. There seems to be like a pile of discarded papers and letters and an unlit lantern and a small coin purse. Doran, being the gentleman that he is, he's gonna quickly snatch up that coin purse and see what's inside. He says, "Ooh, that's a bit of treasure."
Drugs.
Takes a mighty whiff from inside the bag. You see him, it looks like he just smeared his face with flour. No. But he's gonna look around and say, interesting. She's gonna sort of sift through the papers and take the coin purse and sort of pocket that. And one of them is actually what looks to be some sort of a map. It's going to say, there's also like another letter that hasn't even been opened yet. He's going to say, now I'd hate to sift through the belongings of the dead, but Well, I just hate
They
to do
aren't.
it.
They aren't going to use them.
He's going to take the letter and the map and bring it out to show the rest of you fellas. He says, "First off, gentlemen, it's payday." And he offers you each a single gold piece.
Ah, thank you, Doran. Put that in my pocket.
As you said before, it didn't seem like they had much of a use for it. But, I don't suppose this is of any use to anyone. And he unfurls the map, and it basically looks like where you guys are right now, like in around the general area, based on this map. Where the flag is currently. Alright. Excuse me. There is a red X. And written underneath it in script, like very, very fine penmanship indeed. It says beneath it, uh, sorry, let me think for a second. It says autos. Excuse me. It says autos stash. And then let me just actually let me fetch an X that I can use. I probably should have had this before, but I digress. Oh, that happens sometimes. Hold on. There's this very peculiar bug in Roll20 where damn it, where sometimes you'll drag to drop something from like your little your library of tokens or whatever, and then it will kind of just plaster itself on the screen without actually like being anything. Quite annoying. I'm going to have to close out of this. Give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. But yes, the the map reveals what seem to be three different stashes: Otto's, Gilbert's, and Alphonse's. And the letter, it details. I say I'd read the entirety of it, but it is actually a little long, about 3 pages, written
Oh,
in
wonderful.
again written in very very beautiful handwriting. But it details what seems to be the exploits of a man named Mattius. And essentially, it doesn't seem to be by Mattius, but it seems to be a letter to him. And based on what the map says, Mattius and this gentleman appear to be organizing some sort of a resistance to this the current Marcher Lord, Martin Ulker in Mordhelm. It is just detailing what's being ferried from what stash to where. In this case, that money seems to have been for him, along with the other supplies that you did find, which were just minor ones, not anything that you are in any dire need of. But things like food and things like extra bowstrings and also like bow hefts and arrows and stuff like that. Seems like a proper Robin Hood style resistance to the current administration, quote unquote.
Hmm. And so he said the letter was kind of detailing what's being transferred to which stash.
Exactly. Another thing I would say it does say is it does offer some insight as to like what exactly is going on between these stashes currently, or like what's going on between like the men that he has entrusted to him.
Hmm.
Details on like recent assassinations, details on like recent skirmishes or other kinds of conflicts that they've been in. And I would say that it's mentioned fairly briefly, but your the you tying Alphonse's stash with the the custodian Alphonse in Longway Abbey is accurate, as that stash is essentially, well, the way that works is that couriers that are like loyal to Matthias, at least based on the clues that are evident in the letter, seem to offer. Couriers go to their, well, couriers take money from certain like donors. Jesus Christ. Sorry, that was very loud. But my stream just got liked by somebody, which I appreciate. Thank you. The Basically, Alphonse is a patron of the current, how should I say, of the current effort to dispose Ulker, and so as a result, they name that stash after him.
Hmm.
You can only assume that it is correct for the other ones as well. Like I'm not like I don't want to sound as if like I'm kind of doing some exposition here. Like it's pretty obvious in the letter. There's not really any coded language or anything, which is why it's so long.
We'll have to bring this to its intent to have to let Alphonse know if we ever see him again. Am I guessing I guess are we moving along as we're reading this letter?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Doran's also gonna carry a bit of a kit with him as well. Basically everything that you can carry, really. It does somewhat hamper your progress, but by the end of the day, and there doesn't seem to be any other disturbances going on along the road, you guys finally make it to Grumberg. Unless unless there's anything else that you guys want to do before you shove off.
Nothing I can think of.
Yep. Doran feels as if you've quite overstayed your welcome in these parts and only wishes to get some more old townsmen's under his belt.
Well, once we get into the town, I will happily join them.
Fantastic. All right, with that, we kind of missed the mark for our break, so you want to take that now, and then when we come back, we'll just do some like light RP, and then I guess we can just end it.
Sure, like about 5 minutes.
Sounds good.
Yep, 5 minutes.
Cool.
All right.
I'm gonna stay a quick second before using the bathroom to say, Daniel, you're right. Fairly weird postscriptum stream, excuse me. But unfortunately, I have to say that this isn't postscriptum. This is Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So please, if you're interested in that sort of thing, please stick around because we're gonna be playing some more of it, doing some good old rousing role play before we end this off. Hope you're doing well, by the way, and thank you as always for your support. But be right back. we are back, backer than ever. You guys stumble upon a town known as Grumberg. And if you'll give me 1 second to get my notes on it. There we go. Alright, there we go. To get my... It is sundown at Grumberg. Again, it doesn't take you like, it's only like 10 miles away. It doesn't take you like a horrible amount of time to get there. Stopped only by the recent meteorological circumstances that have been going on. The weather around these parts is dreadful. Sometimes it even rains black garbage bags,
Hmm.
as was
Well,
made evident by your
it's
recent.
not every day you get attacked by cloaks.
Exactly. But the. Sorry, let me. The Children of the Flame, I should say, which is a major faith that all of you would know about, is like the disciples of the disciples of 1 second. Okay, here we go. The disciples of that very major faith are out in droves, sort of, like with bells and incense, sort of walking in lines around the town, sort of speaking of portents of not necessarily doom, but saying that the reason why the reason why that storm of magic had came through was because of the hubris of us lesser men, and we need to give ourselves to the flame, which has granted us nothing but light, I should say. And I mean, I don't know if any of you wanted me to go in depth about this faith, the faith itself, but it is one that you would all be somewhat familiar with.
I would be interested in this religion just to, know what they're all about.
Okay, so the flame, or it's well documented as to what the actual name of it, or rather what it's referencing is. The Forge of Creation is where the sort of the god ruler of this land came from, Urzar. He emerged from the flame as it struck the earth and breathed life into it. And from there, he has guided humanity to where it is today. Though somewhat diminished in a larger sense, it has survived. And while the nearby provinces may somewhat underpin his authority over all of humanity, they emphasize to them that the reason why mankind is successful, the reason why mankind exists, is thanks to the dragons, and more specifically, the father of all dragons, Urzar. Now, I'm pretty sure I asked you before, Connor, like how Connor would sort of feel about this, because the information, while its legitimacy has definitely diminished, there's nothing disproving it. Though the effects of that might be so far away from you that you might not have any real connection to Urzar. It does seem that it all is in some ways connected.
Yeah, being raised among humans and not other Dragonborn, I guess I'm not as attached to Urzar or this whole religion as some would be. And sometimes, let's just say, like sometimes people will come up to me with this celebration, like, "Oh my God, you're a Dragonborn," and that'll kind of make me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yes, in fact, that's happening right now. You see a couple of the disciples as you move into the town with your stuff. Doran's gonna spare no time. He's gonna be searching for the nearest place where he can wet his whistle.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
the disciples of the flame are going to crowd around you and speak portents of good, saying that clearly Urzar has blessed us. Change is coming. One of them specifically is going to say, "Oh, O mighty child of the flame, will you not bless us and this town?"
I guess I go like, what would you have me do?
And he says, and she would say, "Weave the wind of the world and speak forth the truth, the ultimate truth. Manifest it forward so that we may all experience it."
All right, it's a bit much for Connor, so he just wants to get it over with quickly.
Hold on,
Uh,
I will. Actually, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I'll say something like, treat those with fairness and kindness. Never fail to be strong. Never fail to be kind. These are the words of Urzar.
And they all kind of look at you in a. They don't. I mean, they're not necessarily like saying that's wrong, but they're all just kind of sort of weirded out.
Yeah, in the confusion, I'll just like kind of scurry along, like yeah,
And it helps to carry a big stick.
that too.
All right.
Except I have no stick.
Got a big fuck off hammer though.
That's true. Would a hammer be considered a stick? A staff is definitely a stick, but what about hammers?
He
It's like
says,
the
Doesn't
next evolution of sticks.
Does the presence of metal negate it as a stick? Like if I took off the hammerhead, would it be still? Would it then become a stick?
Doran's gonna say, "Will you all come with me, please? I'm very, very not drunk, and it's making me incredibly angry."
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like a plan to me.
Is the
God,
religious
yes.
fervor easier to tolerate if you're drunk?
No, but you listen less.
He says, "You all would do well listening to your friend here, Wobbly. There's a reason why me and his kind get along so well."
I thought it was just a height thing.
He says, he's gonna stumble into the nearest tavern. This one being called, hold on. It's called Johann's Brewhouse.
Would this place also have a place where you can drop our stuff?
Oh yeah, there's a. I mean the tavern keep just says if I mean it's pretty empty right now, but you can just kind of if you guys want a booth, you can just sort of sit down your belongings.
Mm.
He's quite a nice man.
Okay.
He says, "Oh, don't worry yourselves. Just take a seat. If you need any drinks, just come up."
All right. Well, once I drop my stuff, I will go up to the bar and say, like, all right, strongest you got.
You don't have those waiter things here, huh?
He says, "Wait, a what?"
Nothing.
He says,
It was this new thing that this old Abbey was trying out. I don't think it's going to catch on.
"Well, someone who waits is someone who's not drinking."
That's true.
And so, he offers you, it's basically an old townsman that's just been fermented longer.
Mm.
Nothing.
Give it a breath. Let's cool it. Refreshing.
he, Johann, he sort of looks you all up and down and says, "Haven't seen you from around here. Where are you coming from?"
Well, can't speak for these three, but I'm coming from the south. Been traveling quite a bit, quite honestly.
He says, "Ah, interesting. And what about you, Sir Dwarf?" And the dwarf says, I'd say don't you worry yourself too much, John. But, well, I've come from where most dwarves come from, you know. And he says, uh-huh. Sort of ignoring the fairly awkward, how should I say, the fairly awkward lack of information that Dorn has provided. He says,
Well,
well, this it gone. Connor, were you gonna say something?
me? No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He says, well, don't mean to cause any bit of alarm. And by all means, I mean, stay around if you'd like, but we was about to have ourselves a bit of a celebration.
Oh, for your high holy holiday.
And he says, oh, no holy holidays just yet. Oh, you mean them? They always do that. We're talking about the harvest. It's been a good harvest this year. Very good.
Oh, I do always do love a good harvest festival. Is that happening? Is that happening tonight?
He says, a couple of days. About 2. If you want to stick around, there'll be food, drink. People come from all around. Well, all around nearby, anyway.
Hmm. I don't know. I'd have to have to converse with my employer about that.
Doran's gonna sort of rub his temples and say, now, gentlemen, I'm starting to. Well, I'm starting to grow worried. I mean, I did choose to come here, of course, and my business will be done, but, we should be. I'm starting to believe we should be a little bit more careful. Now, and he sort of looks around and says, though we haven't seen any road wardens yet, I feel as we begin to start approaching Mordhelm, because we will eventually need to go there to get our writ of passage. I'm afraid that, I don't know, I just have this very bad feeling about what we've done back at Longway Abbey. I think we might have set the natural order of this place, as wretched as an order as it may be. I feel as if it might come back to haunt us.
You feel like they will know what happened? I'm kind of saying this in a hushed tone so that the barkeep isn't here. It's like you're talking about what we did with the bandits.
He says, indeed. And, I mean, it could be just the side effects of, whatever that magic-y storm or whatever. Maybe I'm a little bit more afraid than I usually would be. But I'm just not sure, gentlemen. I think
I
we
don't
should.
know.
There you go.
These people seem like they don't need an excuse to kill us if they don't. The excuse of insurrection isn't something that they need to justify getting rid of us. So I'm not too worried about it. If they want us gone, they want us gone. But we should keep our heads low.
He says, indeed. No, I was thinking of perhaps finding somewhere reasonably out of the way and laying low for just a tad bit, but I'm not really sure. I'd say, well, I'd like it if we could return for the cart. Maybe take a couple of horses and go back. It was a lot easier to travel with it. I do have the money.
Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll take 2 horses, go out there, tie back to the cart, come back.
He says, yes, indeed.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to be stealing an empty cart, so I don't mind that idea. You probably have enough time for it.
He says, indeed. Why don't you gentlemen secure yourselves a room, and I will consult a nearby kind of caravanassery. See about getting some fresh horses.
Yes, and then we will party till we're purple.
He says, indeed, I could go with some right proper festivities and some decent food. I mean, it's only been, what, a day since we had that again?
You gotta treat yourself in this life.
Indeed. And, I mean, the pay from... The pay from that gentleman we helped, and he sort of looks around. It was quite substantial. You know what? I'm feeling quite optimistic. What if the rest of you are okay with it? Why don't we stay for that festival?
Well, honestly, Doran, we're working on your dime, so I'll follow your lead.
He says, something to get the edge off. What do you say, Wobbly?
Always.
Merlo, I assume you're also in agreement?
Yes, I have nothing against experiencing the local decadence and festivities, and in particular, I'm keen to see how the local religion looks upon such things.
He says, well then, it is settled. A harvest festival shall have in its midst 4 very, very interesting individuals, I should say.
Quite.
And he says, but, again, keep your head low. Surely there'll be some contests of strength. There's always one of those in even the human festivals. So, if you must absolutely dominate the competition, do it with a sealed mouth. And he sort of like, laughs and pats you over the on the side of the arm a couple of times, Connor.
Well, I'll try to keep a somewhat secrecy, but I won't show off too much.
And he says, and as for you, Marlowe, if you must take a couple of fine lasses under your arm, then do be discreet about it.
I am the picture of discreet.
So he's not even denying it, that he will or will not. We'll see what happens.
And to that end as well, we will have to eventually face our issues, because we do need to go there to secure the writ of passage.
He says, indeed. Now, I was thinking, and, well, it seems that, and he's sure to, like, look around and make sure that nobody's around to listen to him. It seems that this Marcher Lord, Martin Ulker, seems to have a bit of a true insurrection on his hands. This Matthias fellow. Now, do you think... I mean, he is a tyrant, after all. Do you think we may be able to bargain the writ for that map?
Perhaps.
If I'm being honest, you go first. You go first.
Perhaps, but I've not dealt with many tyrants, but I've heard of them, and they either have such a large ego that they wouldn't be terribly perturbed by whatever this is. 3 stashes labeled on a map do not an insurrection make. Or if they are concerned about it, they're just as likely to turn on us so that we don't spread the word of such a thing even existing. Because what they're afraid of is a spark of hope. That's why they crush any uprising as swiftly and brutally as possible.
Give me 1 second. All right, Connor, what is your retort to that?
Well, I definitely agree with his second point in that if we show him good faith, we have no reason to believe that he would act towards us in kind. If you'll trusting anything that such a tyrant would do, if we were to trust this tyrant, we would be the kings of fools, quite honestly. I feel that they will only find suspicion if we truly act like we have something to hide. If we, I mean, of course, technically we do, but it was an act of good faith, an act of goodwill towards these people, nothing to be ashamed of. So, quite honestly, I don't think we have anything to worry about. And if we do, we'll have to come cross that bridge when you come to it.
I could potentially attempt to circumvent need for the actual writ if I could see one. I dealt with a lot of contracts and legal documents, and some moments I'm not prouder of involved the forging of such through magical means, but it is a temporary fix. Doesn't last longer than a 10-day, and I would need to see an actual writ to make a copy. And if it is sealed with something like wax, that's not something I could replicate without getting my hands on either.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Return to Doran. Does it need like I'm guessing so it needs a specific signature, like a stamp you're able to create?
And he says, based on what I've heard, it does have his seal on it, yes. Typically of wax or of something similar to it, yes.
If this man is truly a tyrant, we shouldn't put anything above him. For all we know, he could have ways of finding out, finding magical forgeries.
He says, indeed. Well, if we... And Doran starts actually, his slightly drunken stupor finally gets his noggin jogging a bit. He says, wait a second. We've heard it before. There are caravans that have this writ. There are companies, I'm sure, bands of men who do similar things such as us, who have the documents we need. And he says, well, I'm not necessarily advocating stealing, though, well, if we need to get around them, a gentleman has to get around. If we can find one, and he looks towards you, he looks towards you, Marlowe. He says, "Do you really think that you could replicate one?"
Oh, without fail, I just need to see the handwriting. I would need to prepare a special ink, which is a little costly, and anything such as a wax seal I would need as well. That I can't replicate, unfortunately, but anything in terms of ink and paper is no problem, and it's quite a potent illusion. Lasts for a 10-day, and I can recreate it after that time as well if need be.
And Doran thinks to himself, and he thinks, it is a shame when otherwise noble men must be coerced into ignoble. That's the term, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Eh, ignoble deeds. But in the wake of such circumstances, I think that we should have this option available to us.
Dawn, I truly believe there's nothing to truly be worried about. I am just as adverse to crime as you, but this is more. This is not evil. This is mere mischief, if anything. Nothing wrong with a bit of mischief.
Nothing wrong indeed. I'm just proposing it to you all, letting you know what I can do. I'm going to go grab a drink, and Marlo get up and head off to get himself a drink.
Marlo, roll a perception check.
Alrighty, let's perceive or not.
Another one.
Ooh, nice.
DJ Khaled.
Another fatty natty. Love it. And you see in the reflection in your mug of alcohol when you go fetch it, a feminine figure point a hand over on your rightmost flank towards the corner of the room, and you see someone, a very slender-looking fellow, hooded and masked, who's been sort of leveling his gaze in the corner where you gentlemen are sitting. He's quite well hidden in that area. I'd say without the assistance of I'd say the members, how should I put this? Without the assistance of those in installments. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I just realized I don't know what that term means. Let me not use it in an improper way. Without without assistance from those who are allied to you, you might not have even noticed them, but they have been gazing quite strongly in the area that you gentlemen have been sitting in. And as soon as they notice you staring at them, staring at your friends, they sort of scurry off into the darker recesses of the tavern.
But they stay in the tavern?
Yes, they're still there. Well, it looks like they just went into like an area like separate, like a how should I say, like a different area of seating.
Yep. So Marlo will nod his thanks to uh his mug and say, "Observant as always, milady." And then he will walk over to the rest and say, "I've noticed we have an admirer." And when he saw me watching him, watching you, he scurried off. Rather suspicious like.
Hmm. Well, he must have some troubles. I mean, it'd be a shame if we were not to help him with them.
Doran, he as soon as you finish that sentence, he like almost sort of coughs up his drink and says, uh, as optimistic as I'm suddenly feeling, though it may just be the drink, we should probably get to know this person first. And also, and he, like Doran sort of looks down like at the floor over to the area that you pointed at, and he realizes that that's kind of far away. Like it's pretty out of earshot. So he's gonna ask you, Marlo, do you think they heard us? We've been whispering this whole time.
I think it's unlikely, unless they can read lips, or there are those who exist who have perception of a abnormal. Well, I'll say it's unlikely, but it can't hurt to ask. No need to worry, everything will be taken care of.
He says,
Yeah.
you gentlemen come right back here after you check it out. Unless you
Mhm.
want me to do it. I will as well. I've been feeling quite bad that you've all been getting your hands dirty.
No worries. Did the person leave? Are they closer to the bar? Or are they closer now to Like, are they closer to the bar than to us right now?
Okay, so let me kind of lay this out a bit better. Okay, so the tavern sort of it seems to be separated into two areas. There's the bar, which is next to the entrance, and then like across from the bar is a area of seating, and then to the right of the bar is like the bar head is a doorway that sort of leads upstairs and also to like an area. I'd say like let's say the bar heads at the north side of the tavern, and where you're seating is on the south end. It seems that
Hmm.
there's a doorway that leads further eastward to more like maybe more seating areas or just more back areas. So it looks like they went into the more eastward into the tavern to those areas.
Okay. Well, I'll turn to Marlowe and I'll say, "You've got a friendly face. Might be best if we talk to these persons before you assume that they're nefarious. But I will act as backup. Maybe if you want to talk to them, I will stand by the bar to listen for your word."
Sure, I'll go engage with them, and you just do your thing and look imposing, I suppose. And
Mm, not hard.
I'm going to try to blend into the crowd nearby.
Like the other tavern like goers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Close enough to be within earshot.
okay.
and
Hmm.
yeah,
It's yeah,
once the
maybe not
others
not
are
everyone at once, but like yeah. With that, like yeah, don't really all leave at once. Be too suspicious. I'll just go to the bar now. You guys make your move whenever.
You got it. Give me 1 second, right? All right. So there is a breadth of cloth that divides. Well, that separates that this half of the tavern from the other half where you're trying to go through. And Marley, you're the one who's leading, right?
yeah, he'll cast guidance on himself just to have it available. But yeah, he's just walking casually up. No need for this to be anything but a conversation.
All right. So roll a perception check. Jeez, Marlo's peepers is working pretty good.
I want to see if anyone else is watching them as Marlowe approaches this guy.
Roll perception as well, my good
4.
Oh no.
man. Nothing that you can see, unfortunately, Wobbly.
Okay.
You know what? If it's all right, I'd probably like to like just kind of check to make sure there's no other nefarious characters checking us out.
Yes, you may. You may.
Why not? Oh, I knew it! I knew it! I freaking knew it.
Connor, you say you see someone who looks kind of suspicious, and then you realize it's a mirror.
Oh. Like, oh, hey there. How you doing?
But Marlo, you seem to only be the only one who has your head screwed on tight.
We're in the zone.
So you notice. I mean, they aren't hidden particularly well, but you see the glint of the arrowhead and the sound, and you hear the sound of what sounds to be a bowstring having been drawn all the way back. And like basically you notice that they're in ambush position before you even get there. Like before you, I'm sorry. Let me gather my words, my thoughts, and describe this better. Okay, so there's the breath of cloth that leads to the next area. You notice based on that perception roll, that they seem to be setting up an ambush. You can hear the sound of the bowstring being drawn, the arrow being drawn from the quiver, the sort of glint of the arrow in candlelight, because there is it is the cloth is somewhat opaque, I should say. It's not like fully solid, like not like a heavy blanket or whatever. So you notice that basically, if you were to go past the breadth of cloth, you might be harmed or might be held up.
Okay, so they're like aiming the bow at the cloth so that when I walked through.
They're actually to the side, like they're to
Okay.
the side of the door.
And is Marlo like, is this as he walks through the cloth?
It is. You notice it right before you take the first step through it.
All right. And is there any like what's around the person? Is it like tables or like windows behind them or doors?
It seems that where you are and they are right now, there is a small hallway that turns a corner. Like it's a very short hallway. Then it turns a corner and goes south again, or it's south in to make this sort of more easier to follow. Like the hallway goes due east and south. Where they are is they're in a sort of small little enclave, kind of like a small cubby where you might store a broom or whatever, perched up on a turned over table, in like the sort of like on their tippy toes, just
Oh,
ready,
so they're in like a broom closet kind of.
kinda, yeah, with no door.
No door, right. Um, yeah, so seeing this, Marlo is going to gesture to get the others' attention, and you'd like to basically minor illusion something, just something opaque like a door in front of the person so that they can't see him easily, and then just run at where they are.
I'm sorry, can you say that first part again one more time so I can follow it?
Yeah, so Marlo wants to just real quick signal the others who are, watching him and looking out for danger that there is indeed danger. Um, and then use the minor illusion cantrip to just, in like a 5 foot, so in like the door frame where there is no door, basically just make a door appear, even if it's super obvious it's not a real door, just something opaque,
Yeah,
so that it's difficult for them to aim at him until they, either take the time to pass through that thing or take the time to really perceive through the illusion,
yeah.
to give him enough time to close the distance on them without them being able to easily put an arrow into him.
While this is going on, um, Wobbly is going to feign uh, being bumped into by a nearby patron and drop his drink and say, "Hey, you dick! You knocked over my drink!" and shove it into the nearby table as hard as he can.
All right, the guy you shoved was Martin Oaks. No, I'm kidding. He's I'm feeling kind of genocidal right now. No. I'm assuming with the aim of starting some sort of like bar confrontation.
Yes, that's what I'm going for.
Oh,
Trying to cause a little chaos.
And the man that you shoveled, the man that you shoved, a bit older looking, but nonetheless quite physically fit. He acquiesces by yelling at you, quite berating you in many different ways. Some impressive, some not so impressive. Doran kind of follows your lead by saying, "What, you got something against short people, you fat milksop?" And he gets what you're trying to do. Just give Marlowe the opportunity. But he looks to be some sort of a soldier, unarmed, because I mean you want to be you want to be reasonable when walking into a bar. You don't want to just be brimming with freaking crazy amounts of weapons. But no, that you get your pretty easily you get your confrontation. He's sort of screaming and being otherwise very rude to you as well.
I am trying to get more people involved by shoving him into other people.
I'll, yep, I'll help out. I'll just start yelling, "Fight!" Hit someone with a chair.
Oh, Jesus.
Do you actually?
I mean, like, you gotta go big or go home, man. Well, you know, I won't hit just a random guy. I'll hit the. Actually, no,
do it, dude.
yeah, yeah, the guy, the guy that you're picking on. I'll hit him with a chair. No, I'm not gonna try and hurt him, but just like, you know, enough to make him feel it.
He says, "Oh, are you?" And he brings up his fists to start the pummeling session.
All right, yeah, grapple him, take him down. Marlo, you're probably looking at us thinking like, "Oh God."
Johan's trying to get the handle of the situation by
Mm.
saying, "Guys, if you stop fighting, free drinks for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Come on." And
All right, let's do. I look back to the guys like, "Okay, peace. No peace, peace,
I
no
drop
peace.
kick him.
dropkick.
Oh, no peace."
You somehow managed to clothesline him despite him being like 5 times your size.
I give him the small people's elbow.
Signature move.
You have to climb up like on two tables that are stacked up on top of each other.
Shadow the Colossus. But anyway, no, you've got a proper fight in your hands. It's a lot of them are somewhat intoxicated, so they're not hitting remarkably hard.
I'm trying to get it started and then duck out to get over to Marlowe. That was my goal.
Oh, okay. So I'd say there's a lot of drunken smiths and smiths as assistants and whatnot, and other sort of tavern goers who are. Some of them actually look like they were itching for a fight because, like, without even warning, they're just hopping in, like getting some steam off or whatever. But no, you've got yourself a proper fight on your hands. That man in the armor has been looking for you, but on occasion he'll get tackled by some random fella.
Yeah, once it starts getting nuts, then I'll try to slip away and join the other two. So confront the ambusher, attempted ambush.
All right. So how are you confronting this person?
Uh, Honestly, I'm going by Marlowe's lead.
And Marlo, how are you approaching this situation?
So yeah, after obscuring his view, Marlowe just wants to get right up on him so that putting an arrow into him is going to be less feasible. And then essentially just by virtue of like shock and awe being right there, hopefully we can dissuade him from trying to fight since he's got himself cornered in a broom closet.
All right.
That's as far as the plan goes.
I got you. So I'm gonna have him roll at disadvantage plus then.
What does that mean, disadvantage plus?
It's a function of actually the roll 20. It's a function of the roll 20 sheets. You can roll at advantage, then you can roll at advantage plus, where essentially you roll 3, and then
Oh, okay.
yeah. But so like I mean it's not an official thing, but there are some situations where I feel as if like the situation just calls for like something at really like the most disadvantage you can really give a person.
Mm.
So it's not
A
gonna happen.
blinded prone attack.
Yeah, exactly. It's not gonna be like always present, but like there are some times where it's just like, okay, how the hell are you gonna do this? So let's see. Take the lowest.
Yay.
Strats.
Stress. Marlo, do you understand Elvish?
Yes.
It curses. The man curses in Elvish before like rearing his hand. Like you guys kind of get into like one of those like lock situations where both of you are like readying like your quote unquote weapons, but like they notice that something's they're kind of outnumbered, and they kind of just miss their opportunity, and they're just waiting for you to make a move.
Yep, Marlowe is going to try and grapple the man there.
All right. are the
Wait.
are you gonna are the rest of you also gonna help him?
No,
Yeah, I would
I'm
like
gonna
to.
beat his ass.
But before
Yeah,
you
I'll use the. I guess I'll use the. I don't know, help action for Marlowe.
you got it. But
I'll
before
give him
you
pointers.
Yeah, but before you even touch him, Marlowe, he notices more of you guys coming, and he says, "All right, all right," and he sort of like lowers down his bow and puts away his quiver and says, "No need for any further hostilities."
And
I
here I
think there's
was.
plenty of need, and I smack him across the face with my quarterstaff,
Go ahead.
trying to knock him out. 23 to hit for 7 damage, and I'll punch him in the face. 15 to hit.
Oh, jeez.
All right, that will. And you said this is non-lethal.
Yes,
Can you give me one quick second?
sure.
Let me see something. Hold on. This will only take but a second.
I like to think like Wobbly just materializes behind Marlowe, who's about to be like, "All right, now we can talk civilly," and just fucking quarterstaff punch, grab him by the feet, start
Trying
fucking
to
trying
shoot
to
you
drag
in
him
the
out.
head.
Yeah,
He's got to learn a lesson. There's consequences for trying to shoot you in the head.
and it's one of those like talking tos that your parents give you, and you're like, I wish they would just like, punish me. It's harder that they're disappointed in me.
Yeah, Wobbly's going full chonkless. He's got the chonkless. He's going to town.
Oh my god, my mom used to work at a school where the chanclas were rampant, and she worked with younger kids in like first grade, second grade, and when their parents would come in and they would have the like the color chart, and they'd see their kid's name on that little clothespin, and it was on red. Like literally without breaking a stride, their foot would come up and their shoe would come off, and the kid would be like, "Oh shit."
Jesus
It
Christ.
was it was like the practice motion of like a video game character reloading a weapon, you know? Like that sort of it looks exactly the same every time, so how many times have they done this?
Yeah, that's hilarious. I apologize. I'm trying to find the exact stat block I'm looking for. Have it in my other screen over here, just looking for it real quick. Here we go. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, alright, alright. That doesn't quite knock them out, but they realize that their situation is quite dire, so why don't you guys roll initiative? Well, I guess like just roll d20s, and then I'll just
Just roll d20s, not initiative.
well, yeah, because your tokens aren't here, so like you can't.
Uh,
There's no way to track it. So just roll d20s. Oh no. I'd say that that was definitely well, you surprised them with that for sure because they were not ready at all. So I'd say sorry. Connor, how are you going to acquiesce the situation? I've been saying that word a lot lately.
Good $1 million word, as my English teacher would say.
Connor.
Uh, so after you punch him in the face, I'm gonna try and grapple him, just kind of force him to the ground.
All right, that is a strength versus their athletics
Yeah.
and or acrobatics.
I hate
Alright.
to be that guy, but I do have to wrap things up in the next 5 minutes or so.
No, no worries, dude.
No worries. Alright. Strength. Not bad. Yeah.
Nah, you grapple him. It's fine.
Lovely. So I'm taking down to the ground. Is like, let's start from the beginning, shall we?
And you notice, because your quarterstaff had properly pummeled this gentleman's face, that enough so that their hood and mask fell off when you had swatted them, that you notice that this is a wood elf, which is peculiar. But the elf, they they make it very clearly known that they give up, and they say to you, says, listen. All right, I'm sorry. I was spying on you. I I was afraid you were with Martin Olka.
You weren't spying on us. You were gonna shoot my friend in the head.
He says, well, listen. If you are with Olka, then just know that I won't say a damn word to you.
Buddy, we ain't with anybody. We're passing through. Is this how you treat everyone who...
Yeah, Marlo wants to do an insight real quick because desperate people do stupid things. So he's trying to gauge if this guy is really desperate and
Sometimes
thought we
stupid
were,
people
yeah,
do
thought we
stupid
were.
things.
It's true. That's what he's trying to get to the bottom of, is if this guy is really concerned about Martin Olker or if he's putting on a front.
Go ahead. Roll that insight.
I'd like to know that as well, if possible.
Alright, it seems that he is just... it seems that he's got something to protect, I should say. He's trying to protect something. Seems like seems very concerned about he just seems really concerned about whether or not you guys are with Ulker, and for good reason.
I don't think that's any of his fucking business. Do you think that's any of his fucking business, Marlo?
Well, that depends on what sort of business he gets himself into.
Apparently the kind of business where he doesn't mind taking a shot at your head from behind a curtain.
Unpleasant business.
Most unpleasant.
Just, and he sort of looks at the guy and then in Elvish just says, "Speak plainly. They're more rash than I am."
He says to you, and he sort of whispers in Elvish. He says, what do you know about Marius?
That's the guy who the letter we found about, right?
Yes, about the like the secret caches for the insurrection.
Marlowe sort of narrows his eyes. He switches back to common just so to clue everyone in, because he's not gonna have the secret conversation. He just wants to say, Madius, I know he wants to start trouble in a system that's got plenty of trouble and causes it, but I know that whatever this man be, one man does not a public uprising make.
He says, alright. You don't seem to be with Ulka, so I'll say this for now. Marius, well, and I will trust you on this. Marius, he is the true Geloi. He is the one who is meant to be on the Marcher throne. He is Matthias Geloi, and I have been protecting his family for many generations. Now, sometimes I will mosey on into this town to see if anybody else has heard of Amadeus, if they're looking for him. We cover our tracks, but some people, some things slip through the cracks. It is very important that he is safe. I'm willing to go through many lengths.
Well, maybe starting fights that you can't finish is only endangering him. You acted very rashly.
And he says, I wasn't expecting magic. And he almost spits that out as if he doesn't think you fight fairly.
Dude, you were
Uh,
hiding behind a curtain.
Marlowe just sort of shrugs and goes, I've earned my talents through years of dedicated service. I don't frown upon any tactics I might employ.
And he says, fair enough. But listen, I also couldn't help but notice that you are trying to get safer passage through these lands. Mattias and the rest of his companions, me included, well, we might be, depending on your stance on Martin Ulka's reign, we might consider assisting you in any which way that we can. You have my word. What say you?
Marlowe sort of looks at him. He says, I believe in a life worth living, and I believe that this world, and this specifically kingdom, protectorate, whatever it's actually called in your tongue, is quite dreary, one of the most unpleasant places I've ever been. And sure, maybe I'd like to rectify that, but I've made an oath to a particular employer to get him to a certain mountain. So I don't want you to mistake that I have any interest in starting a war at this juncture, not until my current obligations are fulfilled. And I'm agreeable to anything that helps me keep the deal I've already made. But for now, we're not looking for any more trouble. But this isn't a dictatorship like the way Ulka runs things. We have a bit of a democracy here, so I can consult my companions on whether or not they feel that your offer is genuine and your help is required.
We'll do that I'd say keep that conversation short, and then we'll end.
Which I think Wobbly had to head out,
Yeah,
or was
I
it?
gotta hop out.
Yeah.
You guys have a good night. Talk to you later.
No
Yep.
worries, dude.
See ya.
You know, in that case, we'll just end there. We'll keep it.
Yep,
Yeah.
we can finish that tomorrow. Marlowe's agreeable, but it's also a lot of heat on us, so
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to talk about this.
Yeah, sorry. I did not mean for that to go on so long.
it's all good.
That's all right. Right, yeah, but it's around like 12:15 where I am, so
Oh yeah.
I will talk to you guys later.
Yep, have a good night.
All right, you too. All right.
See you guys. And I guess that is the end of the episode.
All right.
Thanks for playing, dude.
Yeah, have a great night.